All right. Good evening, Edwin. Good evening to you as well, Annie. Hope you're both well. I think Edwin's not an evening for you. It's morning, but there we go. Welcome, everybody. All right, let's get going. If you're on a YouTube live stream, I can't see the chat, but you're more welcome to watch or just follow the link that I've given so you can come into the room and you can chat to us, but I can't see your chat. Everybody else, let's get going. Welcome to this evening's ACY Securities webinar, Forex Trading Live Market Analysis. And please read through the risk disclaimer before we get going. As we're going through the webinar, any questions to the chat or the question and answer box? So just read through the disclaimer for me. All right, let's move along. So if you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor at ACY Securities, and I'm a full-time trader. Been trading the Forex market now for more than 15 years. Had the opportunity of mentoring clients for more than 10. And if you want to contact me, my email is on screen. duncan.cooper@acy.com. Through the week, you can get my analysis at our acy.com website, Market News tab, at our YouTube channel, ACY Securities Australia, and you can connect with me as well on Twitter and LinkedIn. And you can connect with me in our ACY Securities Telegram channel, providing analysis through the week and on the weekend, usually Saturday. And if you want to get access to that, just contact Nathan. And I'm just providing analysis based around the education series that I provide in the webinars on Wednesdays, and then the analysis that I provide on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you want to get access to my chart layouts and templates as well, just contact Nathan. I'll put his details in the chat now. Any questions really about ACY, just contact Nathan. If you've got any questions about opening an account, there we go. Now, as well, you can have the opportunity to come to a webinar where you can talk to myself and Nathan, but primarily myself, but I don't hog the whole webinar. Nathan is there as well. If you have something to ask Nathan, he will chirp in. In the Circle webinar, it's usually the first Monday of the month, open to account holders. So if you're an account holder and you want to get access to this webinar, just contact Nathan. He's the one that lets you in or out. He lets so many people come along every month. He chops and changes who can come. So just contact him and have a chat, and he'll work out whether they can put you on the list. So Monday the 5th of December. So that is trying to work out, not next week, the week after. All right, so that's coming up for those that can attend. Now, let's get into it. Let's have a look at the news items. I just want to double check. I did say that was right. It is not next Monday because it's the 28th, so it is kind of 2 weeks away. All right. All right, news. There's not too many high-impacting news items coming out this week, but we do have tomorrow the New Zealand cash rate, 11 o'clock. These are Queensland time, my time. Some minor Canadian news coming out later in the evening. Now, there are a few members of the FMC talking through the night. Maybe they're going to talk about interest rates. That maybe, I did see some commentary already that some of them are saying that maybe we still need a 0.75 rise next time around. So you never know what they're going to say regarding that. But coming up over the next day, we have tomorrow the Euro French flash, German flash, manufacturing and German flash services coming out, PMI coming out tomorrow. UK flash manufacturing and flash service PMI coming out, and the US moving into Thursday. Plus as well, we've got the FMC meeting minutes. I don't think we're going to expect too much from those meeting minutes, but you never know. I think the market's probably still expecting 0.75 raise next time. And we already know that it's, moving forward, it's kind of data dependent. So There we go. All right, so let's get into the charts. Now, I'm just going to use my price action charts. And I might just start on the dollar yen. Just because I put this in the Telegram today and it's very close to one of the levels I was looking at. Now, let me just update my chart a bit. We've discussed this already. So if you've been to my webinars over the last week or two, we've been discussing this level. Weekly support, 62% retracement of the weekly range. We're having a week up from that area, so potentially we're putting in a higher bottom. So that US dollar sell-off may have come to an end. We could well be coming back up to at least retest weekly resistance. It's a question of, if you're not already on board, how would you get on board? Day trend is still down at the moment, but we have on the 4-hour chart started to break out above some kind of consolidation. So we could get up to weekly resistance at 145.89 without the day chart trend even showing you that the day chart trend is changing. All right, so really the structure you need to monitor now is a 4-hour. We've been consolidatory, what we've broken above last week's high here, and drawing a fib in across the current uptrend on the 4-hour chart. Two levels I'm watching. The lower level I'm watching is this weekly high of last week, 140.79 down to the 62% level. That's if we get a deep correction. We got a very strong move up yesterday, breaking above last week's high. So we might not have that opportunity to buy at a much lower price. You have to watch what price wants to do. So that's my lower level that I'm watching. So my lower level that I'm watching here on my 50-minute chart is, yes, last week's high in the 62% area. However, in a strong intraday trend, which we had yesterday and then leading into the next day, we often don't pull back any more than the central pivot point, which is here. So we are pretty much at the area within a pip. I think that comes in at, from memory, 141.51. We may have been a pip short at the moment, so watch that area. Do you see a setup that you'd like to trade that level to trade north? Or of course you wait for the lower level. If this holds and you're waiting for the lower level, you're going to miss out. So what is your setup? Are you simply looking for a trend line break back to the upside? We don't have it yet, but whatever your setup is, there's a couple of levels that I'm watching. All right, let's just hop into the dollar index and have a quick look at that. Dollar index, monthly trend is still up. Of course, we're having a very strong month down, sell-off wise, but we're getting support way ahead of this old double top. And the weekly trend, is it going to get back above this broken level of support here? That's at 107.67. So weekly trend is down, but if having 1 month down, the weekly trend will be down. And that weekly trend, let's say we have a month up next month, this weekly trend isn't going to change until we take out this high potentially. So that time frame is too slow to give you any guide. But if we start to move above, hold above weekly supports, and then in the next level here, that is kind of telling you that maybe we are putting in the bottom here. The day look is still down, but if we start to see a higher bottom form, that's clearly going to maybe start to cement that, yes, we put in a low there and we could be coming all the way back up to challenge the highs over, the next month or two. So we just need to obviously monitor the structure, but the monthly trend hasn't changed. It's just one negative month. Yes, I think a lot of people were long the US dollar and they got caught long. So they've had to clear some positions, and that's why we've had a strong sell-off. S&P 500, it is at the 62% level of the monthly range. It did have a candle up here, so if we continue down, it is going to start to put in a lower top here. So it is getting a little bit of support from this daily area of support, and it has been trying to just fill this imbalance here. So have we put in a final top there, which is kind of the inverse look of the dollar index? We'll just have to monitor price action over the coming days. We're seeing more stock market weakness, seeing more US dollar strength is going to mean that the pairs to the US dollar are going to move down. The likes of the dollar yen is going to move up, dollar Canadian move up. which we've been seeing over the last 24 hours or maybe 48 hours. All right, so where shall I start? Let me just have a click through. All right, let's start with the euro yen. Now, day chart, beg your pardon, the euro dollar, not the euro yen. Let's just start on the monthly. The monthly trend is down. It's just the opposite look of what the dollar index is doing at the moment. So what's happening is we're having a month up and the weekly trend now has turned up and the day trend has turned up. But have we stopped at a significant level where the market could be faltering at just to finish that corrective move on the monthly? So yes, the weekly is up. We've moved above 2 weekly tops, but significantly, this area of resistance here. All right, some lows here. There's a high here. We've got monthly resistance on old monthly low from back in time. Let me squash this in. It's over here, 103.40. Then we've got weekly resistance, 103.49, 103.68. There's a high here, which is 103.68. There's another low in there, which is 103.59. So 49, 59, 68. Weekly resistance, 3 levels of weekly resistance there that we've put in a signal week last week. See the reversal? We're already having a week down. So what I'm thinking is that we've overextended and we might be putting in a significant top here. Now we will have to move below this weekly top, but if we break the next level of weekly support, we're probably coming down the range. All right. So on the day chart look, yes, we're still in an uptrend. Now I did sell it up here last week. I think it was Friday. I sold it here on Friday at 103.68. I've already got my trade at break even. I just was watching price action up here, saw that rejection up to day resistance. And then on Thursday, we closed below 103.68. So the next day I decided I'm going to trade at that resistance level on a pip stop. And I'm at break even. So I'm just waiting to see if this can give now and start to move down. At the moment, sorry, 4-hour chart, got a structure of a 4-hour downtrend. And that might offer you a rally. 103.29 is a 62% level. You've got your 103.40 monthly resistance there. So that would be a nice area to look for a rally if we can get up there. There is 4-hour resistance at 103.05. So maybe just the figure at 103.00 to 103.05 might be as high as that could go if you get a rally. Now, of course, I'm very aware that the weekly trend is up and the day trend is up. I've sold at major resistance, got my trade to break even. This could still go up and I can be wrong and get stopped out, but at least I'm risk free. Yes, the day trend is still up. Cameron, you're saying to me, maybe we'll get resistance at last week's low. Well, at the moment, it's testing last week's low as yes. And as we move down, you know, it all depends how much the market wants to move back up at the moment. We're having some form of corrective rally. Like you say, last week's low here could hold it. We've broken below last week's low yesterday. Let's move to the 15. So we moved below last week's low yesterday. This could be where the rally is holding. You can see the candles are kind of wicky on the 15 here, holding. We're just fractionally above the central pivot. You could be what you can watch, you know, for failure here. Of course, if you have the downward bias like I'm trading, it's always nice to be selling it up at a higher level. So you could be waiting for a higher level. High level might come. You know, this 62% level up to let me just have a look. Where have I got my fib? I just have to correct what I was saying before. Oh, I was correct. I was saying that 4-hour resistance was at 103.05. All right, back to my 15-minute. So a couple of areas. You've got that 4-hour resistance and the figure there. Or yes, we could go high to the 62% level and 103.40. But of course, last week we have broken below last week's low, and last week's low could now be acting as resistance. So you just have to wait for whatever setup signal you're going to take to go, okay, a top's coming in here in today, and I want to trade. All right. So can we pop up higher? Or are we going to fail here? We don't have a trend line break as such at the moment. So maybe it will go higher. Just monitor. Let's go back to the euro yen. Now the euro yen is holding up here, trying to hold anyway at daily resistance, 145.49. We are actually having a week up. So there is, the higher time frames, the monthly trend. Let's go to the monthly trend. The monthly trend is up here. Yes, there's a monthly resistance area here, and the weekly trend is up, and we're putting in another higher bottom. I mean, we could stop here, put in some kind of left shoulder, right shoulder affair. It is coming up from a higher bottom on the weekly, but maybe we're going to hold here, turn down and put in a lower top here. But structurally at the moment, until we start to see a little bit more information, monthly and weekly trends are up. So the day is down, but the high time frames are up. We all have just had a week up, and we are holding at, that weekly top area here, and this day resistance at 145.49. So, are we putting in a top there? Right, 62% level at the moment. Now, what I would say is there's a bit of an imbalance in through this area. So we might come up to the 79% level, and there's support that got broken through here. So that area through there is a higher level of resistance. Price might not get there, but you could watch that level, or you could start to look at this level to trade down from. If you are thinking that this day trend, which is turned to down at the moment, is going to start to unfold to the downside, which in turn will change the weekly trend to down maybe over a couple of weeks' time, then this could be the area where price is fading out as well. For those that have been to my webinars on the monthly range, this is the current high of the month. This is the current low of the month. Maybe the high and low of the month has already been put in, and we're fading maybe at the 62% area of the monthly candle, even though, the month hasn't finished. Or we could go higher. So you just have to decide you like this area to trade down from, and are you seeing a trigger that you like to take a trade? Now, we have had a trend line break already. If I was looking to trade down from here, I'd like to see that cycle back up to, say, 145.49, the resistance level, if it can do that. Clearly, last week's high, we've false broken it once here, twice, 3 times. So clearly the market's watching up there. But this yesterday got driven up with the dollar yen moving up, so yen selling off. This got driven up yesterday with the yen sell off. If we continually get yen selling off, then I would tend to favor this moving higher. So unless, of course, the euro dollar sells off strongly, and that sells off more strongly than the dollar yen rises. So, this could be rather choppy. It's going to go the way in which, if the yen sells off stronger than the euro declines, then of course this is going to go up, vice versa. So, but you can watch the area if you can get a tight entry and you feel like the short side is available to you, and that's where you think maybe this is going, then great. I'm not so sure which way it's going at the moment. I think if we're going to get a complete, go back to the dollar yen a moment, if we get a complete rally back up to fill this big drop on the 4-hour chart, we could then continue up, and we might be seeing yen weakness across all the yen crosses. So I'm a bit wary of that. So at the moment, I'm just on a bit on the fence on the euro yen, but we are fading out a clear area of resistance. You just have to work out, do you want to trade it? All right, let's move over to pound yen. All right, This is the same story. If we go to the higher time frames, the weekly trend is up, the monthly trend is up. However, on the day chart, lower top to a lower bottom, we're in a, let me just get rid of that fib and then I maybe go to a higher time frame at the moment. Let's just prove it. The monthly trend here is up to a higher top. Weekly, higher top to a higher bottom at the moment, but we don't like this area of weekly and monthly resistance up here. We've moved above this weekly top here, although I could still classify that potentially as resistance long term. We're in an area of resistance here from that weekly top to this monthly top. All right. And we've just gotten short. I said on the weekend, price may come up to the weekly monthly resistance area. We've been a fraction short. And we're at the 79% level of this range. You know, you could have already decided this is a 79% retracement. Within that daily downtrend, I'm selling, stop above the high, looking for this to move down. All right. On the 4-hour, trend is still up at the moment. If you wanted to be cautious, you could look for the 4-hour trend to turn down. So, you know, that would have to come down. That would have to come back up and put in the lower top. And then you can look to sell the lower top as it starts to form. Or, you know, it might not do that for you though. If this starts to collapse, it might not give you that rally. You know, it might just collapse down like this and never rally for you. So starting to move below the 79% level, you might need to start to decide, are you getting on board for the move down? You know, you'd want to be able to get in, I would say in general terms, before you get to these potentially level of support at 166.33. That's that weekly top, because price could stop there, move back up. So you need to start deciding how you want to trade it. This might come back up for another retest of 168 during the day. And then you can maybe see an opportunity to trade down from that level. All right. And it could be the other side of the coin is just coming down and searching for the central pivot point at the moment. And then it wants to have a day up. But day structure is showing you a lower top, lower bottom. We're failing at the 79% level. We're in a resistance zone from this weekly top up to that monthly top. So if you like to trade the pound yen, maybe that's now in that phase where you want to be looking to structure your trade. All right. Again, I'm not, with all these yen pairs for myself, with the dollar yen moving up, I don't know if these yen crosses long term are all going to go north. But what I am seeing is that the euro yen is still showing day chart downtrend. And in fact, the pound yen is showing the same thing. And in fact, the dollar yen is saying the same thing. I mean, whilst on the dollar yen, we've got a clear weekly uptrend, the day chart trend hasn't turned back up. So, you know, we could just have another day up, for example, and then put in a lower top and then sell off for the rest of the week. That is always a possibility, but we have come down to a very good level of support on the dollar yen. All right, pound dollar. It's just chopping around at the moment, getting some support on the central pivot point. What I did notice, let's just get rid of that for the moment. Day chart. Let's go through the all time frames. Monthly trend is down. Yes, we're having 2 positive months now. We're trading into, I know there's lots of lines sitting on top of each other at the moment, but we're trading into a monthly level of resistance here, an old monthly low, and weekly resistance and daily resistance. Weekly, all right, so that's that monthly low over here. It's 119.58. We got to about 120.20 last week, approximately. So we folks broke above there last week, but then fell back below. When I did Thursday's webinar, I was discussing the fact that we were just trading at that level for the high of the day. Pretty much traded almost the same point on Friday as well. All right, so in this area, we've got monthly resistance, which is I can get the number to come up. 119.58. Then you've got weekly resistance here at 119.33. Okay. And then on the day chart, you had day resistance here at 120.03, went up to about 120. 24. And you can see that all the candle wicks here didn't like it up in that area. Friday gave a rejection. And theoretically, you could have traded the break of Friday's low, and that would have got you into a sell yesterday. And notably, the thing I wanted to comment was the low of Friday, today's rally. So the low of Friday is 118.56. Today's rally has been up to 118.63. So the low of Friday is pretty much calling the rally of today, intraday. All right, now, like my commentary on the euro dollar, we're having a monthly corrective phase at the moment. So, but that doesn't change the monthly trend. The weekly and the weekly trend is up here at the moment. We've gone above this weekly top, and the day trend is up. Now, what I'm doing is I'm monitoring this whole range from that whole move there. And we're failing at 79% of that move. 1866 is that level. We pretty much traded that level today, 1866. Is that the last test of that level to move lower? We'll just have to wait and see. It'd be great if we could start to see, you know, if this is the final kind of movement up, to put in a top here, which could be a monthly lower top. Be great if this day chart changed trend and you know, gave you a solid lower top, lower bottom affair, or at least a lower top. We don't have that yet, but it is looking a little bit toppy here on the 4 hour. You've kind of got some kind of head and shoulder pattern up here. I know they're almost equal highs, but kind of a triple top up here at the weekly resistance level of 119.33. And as I said, on Thursday, we pretty much came up to the monthly resistance. We went up to 119.57. That level's at 119.58. On Friday, we couldn't quite get there, and we fell back below 119.01 daily resistance. I'm trying to sell this at the moment at 119, but I don't know if it's going to get there. All right, the 4 hours a little bit mixed. Of course, we've got these triple tops, and we've got a high bottom here. And the sell off on Thursday got support at 117.60, which is this area of weekly support here. All right, this is why you get your support and resistance levels in. You're going to start to understand why price stops at certain levels, because it pretty much stopped at that level. All right. There we are, 117.60 there. So if this is going to move down, it needs to start to break below some levels of support. If we do move, I feel like if we do move below 117.60 clearly, you'd then be looking at 117.60 to be resistance. And the fact that we move below that level is going to start to maybe much more confirm that we're moving down the range. Whilst we're, you know, we come back down and test 117.60 again, and it holds, there's every chance we're going to move higher. But if we break below that level on the next test, it starts to look a lot nicer for the sellers, okay? And, you know, we've got a couple of imbalances that need to be potentially filled to the downside here. There's one there. There's a bit more, a fraction more in here. There's maybe something in here on a lower time frame too. All right. So there are some imbalances to fill to the downside, where we had some news events that were US dollar negative. But at the moment, you can see here, we're either range bound, and I'm just drawing a fib from the last lower top to that current low at the moment. And the 62 levels at 118.84. We've got daily resistance at 119.01 and the 79 level at 119.13. So I'm just picking the figure here as the midpoint of those areas of potential resistance to trade down from if we get up there. So I don't know whether we can get up there. And of course, I could be wrong at that level as well, because I'm looking to, we had a lot of this, where are we? This is Tuesday, Monday, on Friday here. Let's look at the price action on the 15-minute chart. We had a lot of choppy action here Friday before we finally finished negative underneath the figure. And then we broke down Monday. That's why I'm also picking the figure here, because that's where we started to break down below. So a lot of chopping action here where buyers and sellers would have been fighting the battle, and then we've broken down. So there will be some buyers up there that want to get rid of their trades. That, you know, they are long and maybe they're thinking they're wrong. So that's why I'm picking that area. But of course I could be wrong. So you need to work out yourself what you want to do. So I'm looking up here if we can get up there. It's, you know, pretty much in the midpoint of 62 to 79 level. I've got daily resistance in the figure there. So I'm just watching to see if price can get up to that level. I don't know whether it can or not. It's a bit choppy. There's not too much news coming out that can drive it there at the moment. So, but you can watch that. All right, let's go over to the Aussie yen. This is a bit of a dog at the moment. Range is getting tighter and tighter and tighter at the moment on this day chart. Lower top, higher bottom. Kind of just holding below 9,400. I'm just staying away until it gets clearer. The monthly picture. Yeah, if you look at the monthly candles, you can see the choppiness of the monthly candles. Positive last month. This month we're negative at the moment. Trend structure is still up. But of course, we've been fading across here. That high, this monthly area here. Weekly trend, we actually potentially have a lower top, and now we're putting in high bottom. So as you can see, it's not the easiest thing to work out. Slime is saying Thursday is a holiday in the US, so today might be a rally during the US session, which might drive pound up a bit. Well, could do. We'll just have to wait and see, won't we? I mean, or we could get a decline, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully we'll get a nice little fade up to 119, and then it just collapses for the rest of the year. But that's just me wishful thinking for myself. All right, Aussie yen, you know, this is not the best pair to trade at the moment. The only positive about what's happening at the moment is consolidating. So from a longer period of consolidation, it's going to break potentially strongly one way or the other. So what you want to be doing is waiting to see which way it's going to break. What I have noticed is, okay, last month we were positive. We traded inside last month, then we're coming back up. And on the 4-hour chart, we've had a 70, let me just correct myself, we had a 62% pullback of the monthly range. So seeing that and seeing that, you know, it was a stab down there, that was the Bank of Japan intervention low. So we false broke that, and we got support at 62 of the monthly range. I kind of favor it's going to break north, but I'm not seeing anything I want to trade at the moment. You know, structurally, it's very contained. So my bias is maybe to break to the upside from what I'm seeing on that monthly range pullback, but it's not easy at the moment. Okay, I would certainly be watching down here with that 62% level at 92.70. We've got last week's low. We've got day support at 92.86. You know, moving back down into this area of support where we've been getting support all month would be, you know, a good level to watch for price to hold and move back up. So if you could get a buy down here, get the risk out, maybe this is the bottoming out area for a longer move up. All right, but at the moment, it's not easy, that pair. So unless you see a very good level of support maybe to trade up from, or, you know, a good level of resistance to trade down from, at the moment, it's stuck in the middle. So it's poor, you know. So I'm just going to move along. All right, now the Aussie, the monthly trend here is still clearly down. We're having a month up into monthly resistance, weekly resistance and day resistance. The weekly trend is down, lower tops and bottoms. We had a very negative reversal week last week. Is that signaling the final top for the next move down? So monthly and weekly are down. We've had about a 62% retracement as well. 67, 64. That's pretty much where we failed, fractionally above it. All right, to the daily. Trend on the day is up, monthly and weekly down. So you could wait for the day to turn down, or do you try to position yourself with the higher time frames? I mean, yes, that day trend could continue north for the rest of the year. So all I'm seeing is, I always know that support or resistance trumps the trends, and the high time frame trends at the moment are down. So is resistance here holding that day chart trend? It's going to change it to a downtrend over time. So we failed at day resistance. We moved above the monthly level of resistance at 66.71, weekly at 66.81, and daily here at 66.99. Moved above, but then we've traded back below. So I will be looking between, put this in the Telegram. We've got tomorrow the New Zealand dollar interest rate decision. This will react to that decision for sure. So we might get a bit of a push up. We might get a day up above so that we could put a lower top in. So we might get a push up to 67, fractionally above. All right, I am monitoring at the moment the 4-hour range. 62 level to the 79% level is situated in this resistance area between 66.71 and 66.69. So I'm watching that area for potential failure, but we could go fractionally higher. I mean, that's the 4-hour range. This is the daily range that we've been forming. 62 level, if you use that range, comes up to 67.15. So with the volatility of maybe the news tomorrow, we could spike a little bit above 67, get up to about 67.20 maybe, and then start to see price maybe wanting to start to withdraw, you know, or not. So if it doesn't want to withdraw, then maybe you don't want to look to sell it. But if it starts to withdraw, do we start to fail at 6,700? So that's what I'm watching for tomorrow. Does that come around after New Zealand interest rate decision? All right, so at the moment, we've obviously broken below last week's low, so we're having a week down. We're a little bit above last week's low at the moment, but it was holding there to the last candle. So that we could see a movement back below last week's low. You could work out whether you want to trade that area, but I think the better area is the high area between 66.71 and 6,700, but you know, will price get up to that level? I always favor the higher levels, and sometimes I'm waiting for the higher levels and the high level never comes. But I always figure that if you can see some nice areas higher up, it's always going to offer you a better risk reward if you can sell from a higher area than a lower area. Okay, so all right, so I just had to mute. I was going to sneeze. All right, so I'm just going to reconfigure my fib at the moment because I'm monitoring the 4-hour range. If I can get all right, so I'm monitoring that range. Pretty much monitoring this area. All right, we covered the euro pairs. What's the euro dollar doing? It's just heading up a little bit. Pound dollar. All right, we're getting up to that area. Hasn't hit my level yet, but it's getting up there. All right, let's get into New Zealand pairs. So we've got the interest rate decision tomorrow. Cameron, you're asking me, do I pay attention to candle patterns on a day chart or more smaller time frames for candle patterns? Yeah, I do look at candle patterns on the day chart. So, like for example, I was discussing the pound dollar. Friday's candle was that rejection there from the resistance area. And then we traded down yesterday. So, you know, the whole range of that candle, potentially could be sellers within that. So yeah, definitely look at candles on the day chart. Not as much on the 4-hour, but I do every day when I start my day, I look at the day chart and look at the candles. What does it tell me? So, we definitely had a bit of a rejection reversal up there. So if price can get back up into the highs of where we reversed, there's a high chance it may reverse back down from the area. All right, let me just put my fib back in that I had in. I mean, there was a nice rejection there on the 4 hour. I do look at candles on the 4 hour chart, but I always look at my day chart every day to see what's going on from the candle perspective. All right, so we are heading up there on the pound. Whether or not we can get up there, I don't know. All right, now the New Zealand yen, back to the day chart here. We're back into this weekly resistance level. Now, we have actually put in a higher bottom here on the daily after getting support down here. So it came up to potentially look to put in a lower top at that weekly resistance level from that high there. But of course, we know it's moving up. Is it going to create a double top up here? Last time we were up here, we had a significant sell-off. Well, we had a significant sell-off from over here. We had a significant sell-off here. I mean, the weekly chart is putting in a higher bottom here. So that could be maybe suggesting that we want to move up and through. However, we put in a higher bottom here. Came up to the resistance area and then failed. All right, so we're definitely getting into where the market keeps selling. I mean, because of all this selling down from the area, it's very difficult to be a buyer here. And the idea that we're going to move off and through. So, for me to be a buyer, I'd have to see this move clearly beyond this level area and then look for an opportunity to be a buyer. Now, is it going to come up to here? We've got the interest rate decision tomorrow. So interest rate decision tomorrow, let me just put in that high up here, 87.26. So it's 87.206. We might touch that top. We may touch that top. We could even touch the higher top. So let's get all the levels in. But then what happens, over the next 24 to 48 hours, 87.866. Do we start seeing another reversal? Because if we see another reversal up here, there's a high chance we're going to see another rundown like this. And of course, you want to be on top of it. So, it's not an area where I want to buy into, because if I wanted to be a buyer, I should have been looking. If I thought price was going to break through this area and beyond, down here was where you wanted to look to structure your buy, not at these highs where we keep selling down. Harash, you're asking me how many base points do you think is good for New Zealand dollar? They're expecting a 75 base point rise tomorrow. That's what the forecast change is, okay? You go to forexfracture.com, expecting a 75 base point rise, okay? All right. Now, what has been happening with the New Zealand dollar interest rates? Yes, they keep going up. However, every time they do the announcement, generally after the announcement, price sells off. You would think maybe it should go up. So 0.75 base points will meet market expectation. Then an hour later, we have the press conference from the RBNZ governor. And what has been happening is that the market sells off. Whether or not we'll sell off tomorrow with 75 base points. Now, if we only get 50 base points, well, that will be what the market isn't expecting, and that would be negative potentially. All right, so we know it's moving up to a clear level of resistance. I wouldn't be doing anything personally before the news. All right. 4 hour is just going to show you that you're moving up. We've got last month's high here. So over the course of the week, last month's high is 86.49. If we can't hold above last month's high after the news, then, you know, we're probably going to be moving back down below last month's high and into the range of last month again. All right, so at the moment, day trend is up, 4-hour chart trend is up there, but you're at clear resistance, right? So, and there's a little bit of a left shoulder here. You can see all these false breaks from that top, which is this day chart top here. All right, so it's a known level of resistance. Buyers beware up there. Just wait until see what the market does tomorrow. If you can see a setup that you like, if it all looks like it's going short, you can see a setup. Great. Now, I actually was wanting to trade this at 62, and I took my order off because I knew that the news was coming out this week for interest rates. And I thought to myself, maybe this wouldn't move down enough for me to be maybe risk-free and not concerned about the interest rate decision. So I don't think this is going to break down below support. I did a video on this today. Now, we are 62.04 on the monthly chart is monthly resistance here. Monthly trend is down. Weekly trend is down. All right, if you want to put a fib in there, we're kind of at the 62 area to 79% area. In the middle of the 62 to 79. So of course we could go higher to the 79 if price dictates tomorrow. That's at 62.63. So you can watch for that for failure tomorrow if we do get a bit of positive movement up. But at the moment, we're pretty much getting held at monthly resistance at 62.04. Now, for me personally, I would love this to, you know, after the interest rate decision to come back up to 62.04, kind of trade around the area and offer and start to look a little bit like it doesn't want to move up anymore and fail at say 62 and get short at 62. I was going to short it last week at 62, and then I decided, okay, maybe this wouldn't break down enough before the interest rate decision, so I decided to wait. So you can see here, it is rather consolidator at the moment. So we've got monthly resistance at 62.04, day resistance here at 61.61. We just pretty much traded that level yesterday. The high yesterday was pretty much where that came in. And then we've got, of course, day support here at 60.64, weekly support here. Now, I'm anticipating that we're going to fail in this area for a move down, just because of normal structure. And, you know, monthly trend's down, the weekly trend is down. This is all corrective. Are we going to just put in the lower top in the 62 to 79% area for the next move down? So because of all that, I'm just looking for that to be a potential area of failure. Plus, it's at a super level of monthly resistance. So we'll just have to wait to see what the news does tomorrow. Cameron, yes, it's a double top on the 4-hour. On the 4-hour, it's getting rather, you know, rather consolidatory. It is coming up here at the moment. We kind of got equal tops, higher bottom. $62 levels being touched, being a fraction short of day resistance. You know, there's a little resistance top there. This may be as high as it goes before the news tomorrow, and then we just maybe trade down. But levels to watch are clearly 62.04, 6200 level. If we go higher, watch the 79% level of the bigger range. So get your fib in on the bigger range. Watch the 79% level higher up if we spike up. Definitely watch this double top, you know, potentially the day chart's forming a double top here. If we break the low points, that's going to kind of signal the reversal. That's what I was saying in my video analysis today. So we'll just have to wait and see what comes across over the next 24 to 48 hours. All right. So a number of these pairs to the US dollar rallied on the monthly charts. Those monthly structures haven't changed, and they're definitely up at resistance. Are we seeing the end of the US dollar sell-off? And are we starting to put tops in? Or of course we could be moving higher, but we're at these logical levels where tops could be coming in. All right. I just want to see what that pound's doing. Oh, that's annoying me. It's going to annoy me if he doesn't get up, if he just collapses down, doesn't get up to 1900, but there we go. All right, dollar Canadian. Now, these are my markings from last week. We're on weekly support down here. And I was suggesting we could pull back to the 62. Didn't quite get there, missed it by a few pips, or the 79 level. I think I was more suggesting a 79% dip, but it didn't do that and didn't quite get to the 62. So it's come up and filled this imbalance here, just short of daily resistance. Let's just tidy things off and have a higher time frame look. Still got this imbalance up here that could be needed to get filled. All right, so on the weekly charts, we have obviously had this weekly trend is up in terms of the major swing points. Higher bottom, higher top, kind of a 62% retracement here, almost 79. We did the lesson on support and resistance last week. This is a perfect example of how support works. Pulling back to weekly supports. Price has now rallied up to almost daily resistance. This is a daily resistance level. Then we've got more, that's a weekly level, and that's a monthly level. Further up. Now the weekly structure is still up. And I've discussed maybe this could be a long-term head and shoulder pattern on the monthly chart, but even the monthly trend remains up at the moment. So we need to, I think we need to start to see, we're going to get a complete failure here. We need to see a lower top form on the weekly chart. We don't have that. The weekly trend's still up and the monthly trend's still up. So all we have at the moment is a corrective move on the monthly and weekly, back to weekly support. We're already had a nice reversal candle here, piercing pattern. We've had a week up already, so we're starting to put in a higher bottom here. Of course, it needs now to negotiate daily resistance to move higher, and the day chart's still down at the moment. So potentially this day chart trend could still hold, put in a lower top here to move lower down, but I'm favoring the higher time frame, which is a weekly. That's telling you we're putting in a higher bottom on the weekly. So we could, I'm just going to draw a fib in here. We could have a pullback to then put in a higher bottom. All right. So I'm using that whole range there at the moment. You know, we could pull back to the 62 to 79. But having a pullback, having a day down, and then seeing whether or not we start to trade back up and put in a higher bottom. All right. Even the 4-hour structure, I mean, I've got that across the daily range that's been forming. We might not even trade to that range there. We may only trade to the 4-hour structure here, which is a higher bottom to a higher top here. All right. Good pull back to the 62 level, 79% level of that range. There's 4-hour support here. And at the moment, we're just sticking on the figured level there. All right. That might be as big a move as we get down there today, depending on what the other pairs want to do. You know, my preferred option is always to see a deeper pullback. And, you know, it could be the 79% level of this 4-hour structure, or, you know, 79% of that range. You could just have to monitor. We're obviously having some form of pullback at the moment. Was favoring the buy side with the weekly chart still being up, putting in a higher bottom. Okay, so looking for a pullback, be it on the day structure or the 4-hour structure. Do you see a pullback to a 62% level or 79% level? Cameron, you're asking me. So you're saying to me, I don't normally trade this. I don't normally trade the dollar CAD just because it doesn't really move in my sessions. If you're just trading the day chart, then that wouldn't matter too much. I mean, I can trade the dollar Canadian if I want to, but I'm looking at other pairs for myself, which are more active in my sessions at the moment. So you know, whilst I'm doing the analysis on here, I won't be trading the dollar Canadian this week. Unless I see, when I see it from a daily chart perspective, if there's something I can just set up with it where I don't have to maybe monitor it in the US session, then I might trade it. But, if I need to monitor it and it doesn't really move until the New York session, it's, it's a bit painful for me. So that's why I don't really trade that pair. But, I could be monitoring this daily range here and thinking I'm just going to trade at 79% level we got there. But I'm just looking at some other pairs that I like the look of better. But, this is holding on good weekly support here. You can monitor a pullback as it starts to turn around. And, I could look at this tomorrow and see it's pulled back to the 79% level through the Asian session, decide I want to trade it. But if I have to monitor it through the US session, I'm asleep. All right, we've done the dollar yen. Let's just see what it's doing. All right, it's having a bit of a deeper pullback. So maybe it is coming down to much more of the fib retracement here at the moment. Hasn't given you this trend line break. So first level that was maybe starting to hold isn't holding at the moment. So we can get rid of that level. And then, now we're monitoring this 4-hour structure. I much prefer the deeper level than the higher level because obviously it offers you a better price to get in if we have a longer move up. So, all right. So the lower levels I want to monitor at the moment. Let's have a look at gold or S&P 5. Oh, we've done S&P 500. So the gold. All right. So nothing is too much changing for those of you. Olive, may you put a question in on dollar CAD? You say, does that look like a harami on the monthly time frame? My understanding of harami is an inside candle. I always have to refresh my memory about what a candle is. My understanding of harami, and let me get the PDF opened up because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. And my understanding of harami is an inside candle. So all right. All right. So harami is an inside candle. Looks like that at resistance. Looks like that on support. Okay. So now that that's what I thought it was. So there's not a harami there on the monthly because there's no inside candle. So if your question was, monthly time frame harami, no, up here, this is a potential dark cloud cover the month before, but the current candle is just a down candle. It's not at the moment showing any candlestick pattern there. All right. All right, let's go back to gold. Now, we were discussing this weekly resistance level. So let's go to the weekly chart last week. So we put in a signal week, signal week last week at weekly resistance, closing below the 79% level. Are we failing here to trade back down? We got this weekly level of support here, which we should put in. Are we just pulling back to support to move higher? I mean, maybe ultimately at the moment, the weekly trend here now has been kind of a triple bottom. We've moved above a top and pulling back to a top. Whilst I've got this bigger range from the downside that I'm using, potentially we have an uptrend here that's challenging weekly resistance. So let's just put that level in. 29.50. So 17.29.50. All right. If this, if this level is tested 1729.50 and it holds, then, for those that want to trade gold, buyers should be looking in this area to trade up for a potential break of resistance. So at the moment, the market's operating between potentially weekly support and weekly resistance here at the moment in a, what is it? $57 range. And the day, the weekly trend is up. I'm going to get rid of that fib. I don't know if that fib's telling us anything at the moment because the ranges are changing. So let's go back to the weekly. The weekly is up. The monthly trend is down, but we're not at any significant level in terms of fib. We are at a significant level of weekly resistance, which also ties in with, if you look left, monthly resistance over here. So there is always the question, like I've been saying with all the other pairs to the US dollar, this is just a month up at the moment, back to resistance. And then we start to put in the lower top. Is this putting in the lower top on the monthly for gold? We'll just have to wait for a bit more of a clue. If it is, then what you're going to start to see is that we start to move below this weekly support level. So the line in the sand for the buyers for this to go further up is that, yes, 1729.50 holds to move up. All right, so weekly trend is up from that kind of triple bottom, and the daily is up. If we have a day up today, it is putting in a higher bottom here. Maybe you're looking to be buyer to trade up, to retest that weekly resistance level. The 4 hours down at the moment, so maybe you want to look at, 4-hour structure to be up if you want to go long. It is at the moment dealing at last week's low. So we've broken last week's low to have that week down. And, are we holding at last week's low to trade further down today into the week? All right, it's a bit difficult at the moment. When our weekly day trends are up, monthly trends down. Have we failed up here? You need to make a decision, first of all. Do you think we failed up here for a long-term move down? If you don't, you should be looking at this area to be support for a move up to break this area. But of course, at the moment, this 4-hour structure is down. All right. Earlier in the day, if you were thinking that you wanted to be a buyer, we did have a nice failure at the central pivot point to trade up, but we can't go back in time. So you've missed that opportunity. All right, so we'll review that again on Thursday. The weekly day trends are up at the moment on that, and it is putting in a higher bottom at the moment. So those are 2 levels to watch, those 1729.50 for support, 1786.74 for resistance. Yes, we've been in a long-term monthly downtrend. Is that staying in play? If it is, we should see 1729.50 break. So that, if you see that break, that's starting to show its hand that, okay, maybe we are moving down on the pair. All right, any questions on gold? Slav, I know you trade gold. I don't know what you're doing with that at the moment. Or anybody else that trades gold? What's your thought process? Do you think that's a long or a short at the moment? You're not trading at the moment because it's a bit indecisive in this area. I mean, if we start to see the US dollar come back from its sell-off and we see the pairs to the US dollar move down, this has been moving in line with that movement, which is down. So yes, some of these instruments are a little bit difficult. That's why, when I traded the Eurodollar last week, I was trading it right at resistance, high up at resistance, because I thought, well, at least I might get some selling pressure. Then I can get to break even, and then am I going to be right or wrong? So, it's always great to be trying to trade very tightly to support, to trade up, or tight at resistance to trade down. When it's not really there, and you're telling me that gold's a bit unpredictable, and the pairs to the US dollar are a bit more predictable at the moment. Yeah, I think you're quite right. All right, before we finish up, not much happening on the Aussie yen, but Aussie dollar's just drifting up slightly. Euro yen's been selling down from that level of last week's high, false break. And that's obviously in line with the dollar yen moving down at the moment. Euro dollar, it's a little bit up at the moment. It's not got too many legs though. It's not getting up to the high levels that I'm watching. It's nowhere near 103.40, which is monthly resistance. And, you know, maybe it might get to 10300. All right, your trend line would be there at the moment. Pound doesn't look like it can get up to 119 at the moment today. So it'd be great if it got up to another test of 119, but it doesn't look like it wants to do it at the moment. Might do it tomorrow. I mean, what would be perfect? The actual perfect scenario would be on this pound. Let's go to the day chart. You know, if we are topping at this 79% area of this range, then what would be a perfect scenario? Let's get rid of that fib. Is that we do have a day up. We haven't really had, you know, we've had a day down here. We've had a day down there. So we could say there's a swing there. We've had a day down there to that point there, right? But then we haven't had a day up where we can swing up. So that we can class this as a swing point. So if we do just manage to have a day up maybe tomorrow up to 119, we could be actually putting in a lower top around the 119 level. So we do need a day up to confirm this point here is a swing point. But if all it is a day up to then have a day down the next day, that would then start to create a lower top. So it would be great if maybe today we can't get a day up, or today we just break the high yesterday. So the high yesterday was at, well, high yesterday was at 1895. So today would be a perfect day. If we had a day up today to 119, then we'd have a day up. And then we have a day down tomorrow, we'll be putting in a lower top. That would be the perfect scenario. But we might not be able to get a day up today. So maybe we could get a day up tomorrow just to put in that lower top. So keep monitoring, you know, there's still half the day left. We could still get up to 119. And the reason why I'm picking 119 is, you know, if it does go up to the 79% level, I'll be in. If it doesn't get up to the 79% level, I'll still be in. All right. But maybe it's failing at 62% level here, 1 pip short. So you just have to monitor it. Maybe we can get in, maybe we can't. We'll just have to wait and see what the US session brings. It's not looking that positive at the moment to get up there, but we'll, you know, keep monitoring. You never know. All right, everybody, just let you know, tomorrow I'm going to go through pivot points. So webinar's coming for the rest of the week. Pivot points tomorrow. I'm going to show you a simple strategy that you can forward test. Thursday, more market analysis. Of course, we'll look at the charts tomorrow, so we may be able to commentate on a few charts as we're going along as well. But we'll look at pivot points, how to use them, and the best way to use them in trending markets. That's what's coming up tomorrow. So if you've got time and you want to join me for that, just come to the website and register. All right, everybody, thanks very much. We'll run over a little bit, but that's okay. So you got some levels I'm watching. Is the US dollar bottoming out for its next move up? That is the big question. So we'll see how things are sitting on Thursday. And if you're in the Telegram, I'll give you an update to a few things Wednesday into Thursday. All right, everybody, thanks very much. See you next time.